with a zero budget. So spawning in the top left-hand corner of Terraform, it is the green Protoss player winning that last match in a pretty tight defense with those Immortals after opening with Phoenixes. From Team Extreme Supremacy, it is Belief.
And in the bottom right, we have our purple Protoss player from Endurance Esports. Their name is TeebuL. Now, I don't want to go on another color rant like I did with that Zerg player and choosing purple, but I gotta say once again, purple Protoss player is like the best introduction. So if you're playing Protoss, you should probably choose purple every time.
Yeah, you definitely see that different players have those color preferences for when they play too, and it's really like at first you just think that they're just choosing it that one time, but then when you see it pretty consistently, like Belief has been in the RSL since season 1, and he always chooses green unless his opponent beats him to it. And which at that point, that's a sign of disrespect.
Because I'm sure the other players at this level know, right? Because they play each other all the time and things like this.
But, well, they might not actually know because a lot of players they go for that friendly units green, enemy units red mode.
That's true. Yeah.
I think it's that like team. It's that
team colors.
Team colors or whatever. And so, sometimes they just see their own units as green, which might be just Belief's way of making sure that that setting's turned on for him.
That is always on because he is always green.
But I remember for a little while I used to play with the colorblind mode turned on, where your units are blue and the opponents are orange. And I kind of like that, but that was just because I was getting bored of a green and red or blue and red or whatever settings that my graphics were on at that time. So
Gotta switch it up sometimes.
yeah, but now it doesn't even faze me. But we're going to see Cybercore is finishing up for Believe, and then he's going to go ahead and go into the Mothership Core. And he's actually a good step ahead of TeebuL with that Cybercore timing. So definitely a little variance in the build right now for both of these players.
Yeah, TeebuL instead went for that second gateway, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah, so, and they both have double gases here, so they're both mining considerably. And we do see that Twilight Council is going to go down for Believe. So we do see there's a probe out there, and he's kind of going in a suspicious direction. So might be a DT possibility, but we're going to have to see how that turns out, if it's just going to be a blink opener or not.
It's certainly possible that it's a DT opener, but I kind of feel like it's you either proxy both the Cyber and the Twilight and the Dark Shrine, or you just don't proxy it at all. And it looks like it's just going to be for a proxy pylon, unless it's a delayed DT tech.
We do see that he is starting on blink, so gonna get delay those DTs if he has that option. But definitely blink opener, strong in the PvP sense, allows you to be able to blink onto your opponent's base, all that other fun stuff. Stargate's finishing up. Oracle's gonna come out.
Oracle versus Blink, one of those strange setups where neither side really counters each other, right? Like the Oracle can still do damage, the Blink player can, they can still have the possibility of just going and killing you. So neither build is hard countering each other, and it's gonna be TeebuL's gonna be glad to know that this is a Blink Stalker opening, since he does have the Immortal in production. And it's going to be absolutely key in defending this.
Yeah, definitely. And Believe is getting his own robotics facility as well. So Believe still not quite sure exactly what this tech's going to be. So just being safe and throwing down the robo. But Stalker's actually going to be able to find this probe and find the proxy pylon. So he's going to go ahead and just leave it alone.
Yeah, I guess just leaving it for now. We do have the Oracle coming in, but it's immediately deflected, it looks like. Yeah,
Yeah.
deflected by stalkers as well as the photon overcharge. That's even
Yes.
maybe just an overcommittal. Like you already have 3 stalkers here. Do you really need to overcharge that? And not killing that pylon is really gonna hurt TeebuL here. You know, this warp-in does come in. The Immortal is here, but it's getting a little screwed up on its AI.
Yeah, and nice little snipe by Believe actually to snipe that sentry. That sentry actually had a decent amount of energy, so never had an opportunity to actually use that energy. So that's just going to be energy that's going to go to waste.
And losing a sentry at any point is just a terrible feeling.
Yeah, so all stalkers are going to try to go in and get this first Immortal kill, but a second Immortal on the high ground is going to go ahead and start shredding some of these stalkers. So gotta pull
And
out.
that's just too much damage. You like 2 Immortals out. You can't just blink on top of that and go for it. Not at this point. Although that one is, you know, its shields are mostly gone. Oracle does come back though. Oracle gets a kill, but then a big revelation. The important thing about this Oracle is just keeping it alive is so important because now Believe is constantly, you know, 3 stalkers short of what he could have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Believe. I actually think Believe canceled that Robo back back earlier. Now it's just
Oh, he
placing
must
it
have.
down again. So I didn't even capture that, but he is seeing that there's 3 Immortals already for TeebuL, and a 4th one's on the way as well. So just as those Immortals just continue to stack up, that makes his Blink Stalkers a lot less effective.
Yeah, it just completely ruins them. This Oracle baits out another photon overcharge.
Yeah.
So if TeebuL does have a chance to move across the map and start being aggressive himself, like that's a lot less Mothership Core energy than there could be.
Yeah, definitely. And we even see that he's starting his weapons upgrade before Believe does. Just having that little bit of a window between the start of those upgrades. So that might give TeebuL an opportunity to attack and get some damage done here. A small one, but that could be a key deciding factor as well.
Yeah, I mean if you engage right when you get your +1, you're gonna have like 5 to 10 seconds of an advantage in that fight, and 5 to 10 seconds in StarCraft is an eternity.
Yeah, right on, right on. We do see that Believe is starting to get his own Immortal count up. So they're going to be able to Chrono Boost that out. And we do see that both players are actually going for Colossus here. So we do see Believe actually gets in a little close, but blinks out really quickly. So that Twitch reaction saved Believe Stalkers.
Yeah, like you were saying, we will have the Colossus versus Colossus tech. So we're going to have our War of the Worlds Death Ball.
Yeah, which will be it'll be interesting to see what Believe is going to have to do in order to come back and catch up in the Robotech wars, because since TeebuL already has the 4 Immortals and Believe is just going to have 1 here before the Colossus production starts going, they're going to be pretty even on Colossuses. Actually, they're actually not too far apart or too spaced out between their first Colossus, but the key thing is the Immortal count, and these Immortals definitely do a ton of damage towards Colossuses. So definitely going to be something that Believe will have to really figure out how to get a slight advantage above this Immortals, because brute force is just not going to work for him.
Yeah, and you had a good point because Immortals they just do an insane amount of damage to Colossus. So if you can close the gap with that, it's pretty game ending, right? Because I mean, 4 Immortals, you can basically one-shot a Colossus with that.
Yeah, Immortals definitely pack a punch for those massive units. Those massive and armored, right?
I
Or is
think
it
just armored, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, even against light units, like even Immortals on Zealots, they just do an absurd amount of damage in general. So having an extra 3 Immortals in your composition is going to be huge in a late game situation. And it's not like, you know, the one the one thing that Believe could maybe do about that is go for maybe a few more sentries because Immortals, they don't have that range. It's a lot easier to exploit them with force fields, but I don't think that's going to become relevant because they are both going for Colossus tech.
Yeah, right. And we actually see that this Oracle is still doing his job. It's still staying alive and not really getting any like real damage in, but he's definitely just keeping Believe on his toes here. He has to, he has to worry about that Oracle. And even throwing down a Revelation to know what's going on in the main base is still a big win.
Oh yeah. I mean, you get to know, yes, he is indeed still making Colossus. Yes, he's getting those upgrades. And I guess the real important thing that revelation shows is like because he's continuing to get the Colossus, it sort of shows that he's not trying to do that sneaky tech switch into Tempest. Nice warp in here though. So these units are just trying to do a bit of damage. Keep TeebuL pulled back into his base. Is there a warp prism?
No, I think they blinked up from hallucination.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a couple stalkers actually getting in that main base. They get 7 probe kills, so definitely a nice little win for Believe.
7 probe kills, and I believe they would have also scouted the second robo in production.
Oh,
so that's
yeah.
a big tell as well.
That's big, and we do see that Believe is actually throwing down his own as well. So definitely throwing that reaction pretty quickly, and he's gonna go ahead and try to keep up with that Colossus count.
Now we've seen that TeebuL has actually been able to maintain that lead he got so early. Like he's been about 5 to 10 army supply up this entire time, and it's still continuing that even up to 15 supply advantage right now. So TeebuL will have the max first.
Ooh,
Gotta
are they
be
gonna be
careful
able to
with
get that
Colossus.
Colossus? No, but they do a decent amount of damage to it. Almost half of his damn health is now gone. So
Yeah, I mean that is pretty significant. I'm not sure if it was worth trading 4 stalkers for, but I guess if you are going into this extreme late game situation, you don't really need stalkers anyway, so you may as well trade them out for a bit of an advantage.
yeah, definitely agree with that. So we're gonna see that they're actually both even on workers. So both of them stopped at the 3 base mark, and we're gonna start seeing, this is where kind of the fun of PvP starts, where I mean, it's a little bit of the main like big armies gonna try to move around and position and get the best engagement that they can, but this is where the Protoss players will be starting to put proxy pylons down everywhere and start doing some zealot warp-ins and start getting kind of creative to try to upset the balance of the positioning wars and make things a little bit more interesting. So we do see a warp prism is out actually. So this is going to be one of those things that I was describing. Just getting a little fancy and trying to start challenging the multitasking for both players.
Yeah, that's for sure, and it's always a good call to try and do a bit of harassment, because at the very least, like, it usually takes a lot more attention resource to deal with a harassment than to actually do it. Like, you just need to warp in a few zealots and then you can go back to macroing, go back to whatever you were doing, but they have to pull back a lot of stuff, start dealing with that. A nice concave for TeebuL though, so you don't really want to try to push into that, Believe.
Yeah, so a really good pre-setup concave by TeebuL. Believe getting his own, and he does see the warp prism actually, so he knows that this could be a small little change here, but he isn't really keeping track of this army movement until now, so I think he knows what's going on though. So Revelation's going to go down, which is going to give a huge benefit to TeebuL, and that gold base that Believe is trying to put down gets cancelled immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you can't try to put that up right now.
Yeah, but half the
the
army
time
is kind
warp.
of there, but the time warp goes down, so we're going to see that both players are going to fully engage here, and we do see that Zealots are actually in the back and forces some of the Colossus to shoot backwards, so not getting their full DPS on it. It looks like Zealots are going to come back from Believe's side and try to engage these Colossuses as well, but TeebuL definitely almost looking like he's... Oh, wow. TeebuL loses that engagement, loses all of his Colossus and his Immortals, so Believe barely coming out on that. I wasn't sure if Believe was going to be able to pull that off, but...
That zealot flank that you were talking about was absolutely key, because when you have the Colossus not attacking their intended target, I mean, it's just death to your army, right? Because you need them doing that area damage to the bulk of the army, not some small flank of zealots coming up behind you. The other thing is, I don't think that TeebuL was really focusing down the Colossus of Believe with his Immortals. You know, we were talking about how much damage they do, but they weren't really hitting their full potential there.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And now we're going to see that Believe is going to come in with his 3 Colossus and 4 Archons and just a ton of Zealots here to be able to take any damage that's going to come. So he's going to have a heyday down in here. And Colossus really not focusing on the army or anything. They're just gonna be shooting at some of these buildings here. But looks like the Zealots and Archons are just doing enough damage as it is. So 15, 16 probes going down, and this third base is going to be contested here. And Zealots are going to come back from the back, but Believe in a very good position right now.
Yeah, and the one thing that TeebuL had going for him was, I think he had a warping of Zealots in the main and third base, but they've been cleaned up. So TeebuL is in a really rough situation right here, trying to get this Colossus count back up, but they just take so long to increment out that you can't really lose them all and then expect to stay in the game.
Yeah, all small little move command right there that gives Believe the first shot, and this might be the nail in the coffin here. So that's just GG. Believe takes it 2-0 against TeebuL to advance on to the winner's match.
Yep, Believe taking it 2-0. The Canadian Hope staying in here. But yeah, really, really well executed attack from Believe. Like, having that warp-in from behind was huge. And really just a nice way to pull that game back, because we kept talking about how, you know, even from the first few minutes, TeebuL was ahead. TeebuL was just so far ahead, and Believe just managed to hit at a good timing, hit with a good tactic, and that was it.
Yeah, Believe definitely being patient and really taking time to really set that up and to go in his favor. He was behind him with that Robotech, but that flank with the Zealots was just brilliant and a little bit more effective than that. TeebuL kind of did his own thing, but it was more of like warping in Zealots behind the Colossus, which obviously that's time that those Zealots aren't attacking, so they were able to get focused down pretty quickly.
Yeah. And also just because when you're warping them in, they obviously aren't full health, right? They're still being created.
Oh yeah, that's so true. That's so true. So we're gonna go into our winners match here. It's gonna be EJK versus Believe. We're gonna have ourselves a PVT matchup.
PVT, pretty great matchup. A lot better this year than last year for all you Terran fans, but yeah, still a pretty cool matchup. You get to see a lot of interesting things. Although a lot of it has been sort of focusing on that blink into Colossus play, but it's I guess how players execute it that turns out to be really awesome.